What's up, guys? How are you doing today? Today, I come with you. I'm Josh, and this is Buddy, D-Train, and Josh Talk Sports.
What is
The
up, everybody?
date is July 24th at 9:16. Fellas, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. How you doing today, Josh?
Doing pretty good, man. Sports is happening.
Mhm.
So I feel like I got a piece of my heart back, so I'm very excited. We got a lot to talk about today, so I'm excited.
That's right. I can't
Baseball
wait.
starting. I'm watching the Cubs game right now. Go Cubbies.
Yeah.
Up 2-0.
Kyle Hendricks right now is pitching for the eighth. Pitching a very good game. He's like below 80 pitches. Or not. Right now he has 85 pitches. I changed that.
Yeah.
Well, since you guys are, already talking about baseball, I just think we should just go ahead and start there then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, wait, hold up. I just want to stop you there. I just want to make a clear apology to the viewers for just. I just want to clarify if I offended or if I offended anyone on my last show. I just want to say that it is not okay to make fun of any race whatsoever. It is rude. It is vulgar. It is not right. And I just want to make that clear. That's not the message I wanted to send, and that's not the message I want to. That's not the message I want to send, and that's not the message I was trying to send. So I just want to make it clear that it is not okay to make fun of any race whatsoever, especially in a time when the country needs to come together. I just wanted to say that. And I love you all. I'm all about peace and love. And all I got to say is that I'm glad that sports is back.
Couldn't agree more.
Let's wrap
Very
it
well
up.
put. Very well said.
So, yeah, it's been the biggest thing I think today, as Josh was saying, is that baseball is back, right?
Oh, yeah. It's very back. And I think I should just go ahead and start it here. Mike Trout will play after being undecisive about, playing about the COVID safety conditions. So he's come out to say that he is going to play. So that's very interesting.
Dude, I'm happy. He's on one of them. I'm in 2 fantasy leagues. I have in one of them. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Michael, I'll send you a personal DM later on thanking you for your service to the New York Mambas. And, you'll get your royalty check, buddy.
Yeah, baseball is back. And it honestly feels weird having opening day in July instead of, the usual April. But, hey, it's good when you have that feeling back. It was great watching the first pitch of my dad in the den and, seeing Jacob deGrom back up on the mound. It felt great just seeing that first pitch. And it's a great feeling, honestly.
Yeah.
And,
I actually want to so there was somebody that actually lost their battle to COVID. He was the Diamondback scout, Johan Maya. So he died, I think, a couple of days ago. And he actually played for the Astros minor league system from 99 to 2000. He lived and worked in the Dominican Republic where he died. So I want to give my condolences to his family. And I just pray that they can just come together in this hard time.
Right, yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
I send my condolences too. It's very tough right now, especially with the Mets. There was a famous photographer who took photos for the Mets, and he was big around. He was just not just big in the New York industry for sports. He was big in the sports industry in general. And he was at my sister's hospital. Like, my sister helped admit him, and so she didn't take care of him before he ended up passing. But she ended up seeing him. And it's just crazy because he was very big, and it shows that COVID is real, and it is taking it doesn't just take your neighbor's life, it takes other people's lives too, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's why as we all need to come together, wear the mask in public, try to social distance. I know it's been hard, but try to do your best. But the number one thing I always want people to do is wear that mask. Am I right, fellas?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, absolutely. I work at Target, and I always say, if there's somebody, not wearing a mask or whatever, I always tell them, do everyone a favor and just, put it up,
Right, exactly. And I was watching the Met game, and they're talking about Freddie Freeman, and his temperature was 104, and there was a time where he was praying for himself, praying to God, not to take me, don't take me yet. He was literally scared for his life, and he's a all-star first baseman, known as Brave. So just God bless that he's still here, and I was able to watch him play. He almost tied up the game today. He almost tied up the game against the Mets. It was scary. But yeah, no, I feel like let's bring up some lighter energy into the baseball day. Let's talk about the Mets, for instance. Actually, no. Let's talk about the Yankees, because the Yankees were the first game to start. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. What do you guys think of Anthony Fauci's first pitch?
Angel Hernandez says it as a strike, man. That's the big meme I've been seeing around. I can't take credit for that. But no, hey, you know what, dude? I mean, we could clown him all we want, dude. 50 Cent fucking blew one.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think is worse? Did you say? Would you say 50
That's
Cent?
unprofessional on my end.
Whoa, yo.
That's unprofessional on my end.
What do you think is worse, the 50 Cent throw or the Anthony Fauci? I mean,
Anthony Fauci's freaking 70 years old, man. I mean,
yeah, with 50 Cent,
you're in the prime of your career, Fitty.
He's 70. I mean, you gotta give him that. He's 70, but 50 Cent.
He's fighting and he's like one of the leading doctors in a pandemic.
Hey,
I mean,
you know, if he was a doctor, something tells me he wasn't a superstar athlete. He was probably hitting the books when he was a kid. So I mean,
hey, you never know.
I'll give him a pass. But 50 Cent, man, dude, come on.
Yeah, like I said, 50 Cent is like
wasn't even close. My goodness.
He blew it, dude.
But nah,
yeah, like Adam Sandler, you blew it.
Let's talk sport. I feel like my early MVP, I feel like for the AL, is Giancarlo Stanton. Because he was playing great yesterday. I mean, from what I saw yesterday, I mean, D-Train, you're a Yankee fan too. I mean, he started off the game with a home run, and he drove in debate me on this. What are you thinking? You're giving me that look right now. Josh is giving me that look right now.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a Yankees fan, as we all know. As every Buddy and D-Train fan knows, big Yankee fan. But, I mean, with Giancarlo Stanton, the question I have is it sustainable? I mean, he gets hurt all the time, and I understand it's a 60-game season. So, you know, maybe he'll be able to be healthy for it. But he's also a player that's had a lot of, you know, during the season, he's somebody, when he's hot, he's best hitter in the league, you know. But when he's cold, I mean.
Yeah, it's cold.
So it's just, you know, it's too early for me to tell. I think by game number 10 of the season, I think we would have a pretty good view of everything. But I don't know. I mean, you got to keep in mind that when you're converting, you know, games and whatnot, it's almost like this was like the third game of the season, because like one game is give or take a number or two, almost like worth 3 games in a regular season. So 3 games in, will we be saying somebody's an MVP caliber player, you know, or MVP candidate? I don't think so. I just think it's too early to tell. Obviously, I want somebody in pinstripes to be the MVP. I thought somebody in pinstripes should have been the MVP last year, and DJ LeMahieu. Mike Trout. Dude, Mike Trout's a great player, best player in the league. No argument here. MVP? Hell no. Dude, the guy's team didn't make the playoffs. Didn't have to deal with the kind of injuries and whatnot LeMahieu had to deal with. You know, the competition that LeMahieu had to go through. It's, you know, I thought it was a little ridiculous to give it to him last year. So that's another thing to take into consideration, is that baseball writers, when they pick this stuff, I mean, just because somebody should be a MVP, or, you know, Aaron Boone last year, manager of the year, doesn't mean they're going to get it. That's baseball writers, man. I was talking with a buddy of mine about it the other day, and like Hall of Fame voting and whatever. Baseball writers are just the most difficult in sports. You know, football is pretty clear. Like, oh yeah, Lamar Jackson's the MVP. You know, there's an argument that can be made for Christian McCaffrey or somebody else, but it's by and large, it's going to be him. NBA, you know, by and large, it's going to be Giannis. Sure, these guys had good seasons, but you know, it's going to be him. NHL, you know, Connor McDavid is really good, or Cindy Crosby's really good, and by and large, they by and large, everybody, you know, says like, this person's going to get it. But baseball, man, they're always all over the place. They're always changing the field goal. They're always changing, what gets counted and what doesn't get counted, and they're always changing the rubric. So honestly, I just don't have faith or stock in it anymore. Once again, though, I'd love to see so many pinstripes get it, but I think Aaron Judge is probably more likely to get it, or DJ LeMahieu is more likely to get it, or even Glaber, just because they're more consistent and always have been.
It's very true.
Stanton has always been consistently inconsistent. I can't really,
Trust him.
even when he
Right.
was in Miami and before that Florida, he crushed home runs every other Tuesday, but he would either hit a home run, get a double, or strike out. And we'll see how that is over a 60-game shortened season. And, if he gets into one of his patented Stanton slumps, I don't know how he can be the MVP. I think there's other guys that are going to make a better argument for it, especially in the American League East. And while we're on the topic of baseball, breaking news for us, but it's going to be outdated. Anthony Rizzo, after getting hit in the hand earlier in the game, has just crushed a solo shot. That's another dub for D-Train's New York Mambas in that league. Whoop, whoop.
New York Mambas.
And, yeah, dude.
Didn't Craig Biggio also hit a 3-run home run?
And guess who else guess who Kevin Biggio's team is owned by? The New York War Machines in my other league. So my fantasy league, yesterday was a bad start with Max Scherzer gargling, but dude, it's everything's coming up D-Train tonight, man. I could live with it. DeGrom pitched great for me earlier. Let's do it.
Yeah, DeGrom pitched really good. I was glad to see him.
That's my take on Stanton.
Yeah, no. Well, honestly, I want to keep track on baseball. I want to keep track on the game last night. Especially Josh. This is a question for you because he played for Houston last year, and D-Train, he is on your team now. What do you guys think of Garrett Cole's debut on the Yankees?
He did really good. He actually did real. And honestly, I was kind of worried because really Garrett Cole wasn't all that good before he came to the Astros, and everybody knows the Astros, pitching coach is. He's the real deal. He makes players that aren't as good or players that were good but kind of fell off. He makes them back, up to that level again. So it was really nice seeing that, he was still throwing good, stuff like that. And I feel like he did a very good job.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I was going to say, is that when we brought him in, I was kind of skeptical, to be honest, just given the fact that, the Astros pitching staff made Zach Greinke look 5-6 years younger, made Justin Verlander look 5-6 years younger. Garrett Cole was an elite pitcher when he was with Pittsburgh, but he wasn't, household name elite. And when we signed him household name elite money, I was a little skeptical even at the time. But one game into the season against the defending champions, pitching, letting up hardly anything, a shutout, I'm all right with it. Obviously the game shortened. The sixth inning is when the game stopped due to weather, but it is what it is. Once again, we'll see. It's one game into the season, and this is also a Nationals team that has no Ryan Zimmerman, lost Anthony Rendon from last year, and as we all know, it has been highly publicized, is missing Juan Soto, their best hitter. So when you're down Ryan Zimmerman and down Juan Soto, two best hitters.
Yep, he tested positive for corona for those that don't know, so he
Right.
was not able to do so.
Correct. So as I obviously have faith in him, and obviously I love Garrett Cole, and I like him in pinstripes, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to jump to any conclusions
Like my
just
coach
yet.
used to tell us when I played baseball in high school, he said, throw strikes, make them swing at it. He threw strikes, and they couldn't hit him, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like how you put that. It's a great way to put it. Now, moving on to the next games.
Actually,
Obviously,
real quick, I just want to mention something that was huge. Moon Betts, his mega deal.
right, yes.
I just wanted to bring that out. So
Big,
got about it was like from $350 to the $400 million range. I don't
It's
remember.
got
I don't
12 years
remember
for
the exact.
$365 million.
Yeah. So
Huge contract. And
that's. I mean, but he has the accolades behind it. I mean, 139 home runs, 126 stolen bases, 470 RBIs in just 794 games. I don't know, man. He won four straight Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers, 2018 AL MVP. Why not?
that is some big dough that the Dodgers just tossed up. And you hope that he plays up to those 12 years. I mean, contracts nowadays are just wow, especially in baseball. I mean, football, I'm not going to lie. I never would have thought football would have the highest paid contract in sports history so far. But now, I mean, obviously, you see Mookie Betts stats. You can just see all these players are getting like $300 million contracts like it's no big deal, which it still is. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like you see John Carlos Stanton still has that $300 million contract. See Mike Trout got that contract, not even $300 million, but $400 million. Got Manny Machado, he's got that $300 million contract. So I'm just saying, like Bryce Harper, with 330. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm just trying to say that like it's more common now. You're seeing that amount of money being tossed onto a player, and I like you just said, you gave up the credentials. He deserves it. And good for him.
Yeah, I was, obviously he deserves it, but and I'm glad. Even though I'm a Yankee fan, I always liked Mookie Betts when he was in Boston. I liked the energy he brought to the game, and I thought, he was good for the game of baseball, clean-cut guy. You don't hear any off-the-field drama with him. I like that. I respect that. Bona fide superstar. But, from the Dodgers' perspective, I really think this is kind of putting a Band-Aid on a headshot wound. It's not fixing their problem in terms of trying to win a World Series and their drought that's been dating back to '88 when they beat Oakland. But I mean, their real issue is relief pitching. Their only relief pitcher who showed up last year in the postseason was Kenta Maeda, and he's wearing a Minnesota Twins uniform tonight. So, if they're not going to fix their inconsistencies in the bullpen, I still don't know if they can have the kind of success that they keep advertising. Obviously their starting pitching is great, with Clayton Kershaw, and their hitting is great with Bellinger and now Betts, but also don't forget about Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Kike Hernandez had a monster game last night. Monster game. So they got some bats, but once again, it's not the bats that's the problem. It's the pitching, and it's the inconsistent relief pitching. And also, with the Dodgers, I kind of take their record with a bit of a grain of salt, because who else in the National League West is a real threat to them? Every other division, there's guys that are, there's teams that are right on the heels of each other. But the National League West, like, dude, there's a huge difference between what the Dodgers are doing and what the Diamondbacks are doing. The Diamondbacks are getting into the playoffs, but they're not, they're kind of getting in there by the skin of their teeth, like as we saw last year. The Padres, like, other than Manny Machado, they have Eric Hosmer and they have Fernando Tatis Jr. But I mean, like, they're not too much deeper than that. And the Rockies, they're not too much deeper than than Arenado and Charlie Blackmon and Trevor Story. So I got to think, they really need the bullpen, man. And for the next couple of years, obviously it's going to do good. They're going to do great. But they're also, for the next couple of years, they're in a division where everybody else is rebuilding. Every other day you hear that Arenado might get traded or might not get traded. The Padres have been rebuilding since freaking Tony Gwynn was their best player. You have the Giants. The Giants just don't know what they're doing. They have Evan Longoria. They have Buster Posey, who opted out of the season. But, like, that's kind of it. Their team kind of runs off. So, I mean, yeah, they're going to do great. If I'm, had to put all my money on, what team do I think is going to go 60-0, yeah, I would say them. But I mean, what does it really mean when they're going up against guys that are scrubs? and then the playoffs they get waxed by everyone else. I mean,
What you guys think? Yeah, I mean, well, I also do want to ask you guys this one other quick question, but like, before we talk about other games, what other team do you feel like poses a bigger threat to the Yankees or the Dodgers? Because people are saying that that's going to be the World Series.
The Twins.
Twins.
I'm a diehard Yankees fan, and the team that scares me more than the Dodgers, more than the Astros, more than the Rays, Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins, man, they got by picking up Donaldson, getting that bat, and getting Kenta Maeda to fix up their bullpen issues. I really thought that those were the two things that they were lacking, and I think it fixed them. Obviously, they're a big power hitting team last year, but we'll see how it is this year. Donaldson isn't a club 50 homer kind of a guy, but he'll get on base, he'll get the hits, he'll get the RBIs, he'll do the other things that maybe Miguel Sano or somebody wouldn't do, and I think it's a good fit for them.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Josh?
Repeat the question again.
I said, like, what other team do you feel like poses a bigger threat to the Yankees or the Dodgers? Because those are the two teams that people think are going to end up meeting up in the World Series. Like the two dominant teams.
In the AL.
Say it again.
You're talking about the AL, right? Or are you just talking about in general?
In general, because like I said, the Dodgers are NL, and the Yankees. People think that's going to be the matchup this year. That's their prediction.
Right.
Yankees, because you see how stacked those two teams are, especially the Dodgers. And D-Train explained it in many ways with the hitters, Kike Hernandez, Justin Turner. So, like, what team do you feel like poses a threat to either team, AL or NL, on either side?
Because, like, I don't know, like, the Blue Jays are looking good, but I don't know if they're, like, quite threat ready yet. But the Blue Jays are looking good. I mean, the guys are putting their bats on the ball. I mean, and with Biggio, the way that he's swinging, I mean, but I don't know if I don't know if I could consider them like too much of a threat, but I do feel like if people sleep on them, then they will become a bigger issue. So I would say that if people sleep on the Blue Jays, look out. So I don't know. I'm interested in seeing how the Blue Jays play this out. I mean, 60 games, I feel like is doable. 60 games is an even playing field for everybody. So the teams that often struggle in the full seasons, they're better off, because if they can start off good enough, then they're better off than in like the full season. So I'd say the Blue Jays, they look pretty good. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good point. I totally overlooked the Blue Jays, and breaking news this morning was that the Blue Jays are going to be playing in Buffalo, where their minor league affiliate plays, and that's not a very pitcher-friendly ballpark at all. Yeah, minor league ballparks typically aren't. So with the power bats of Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., it's going to be very hard for opposing pitchers to get that in. It's one thing for a Garrett Cole or somebody to be used to playing in 30 different major league ballparks, but now this new stadium is going to be thrown in there, and it might make some time to get used to, very short foul grounds and whatnot. So you're losing a couple outs here or there, or, short fences and, things of that nature. Yeah. That could really put them over the edge. The only thing that kind of worries me about the Blue Jays is the pitching, bullpen and starting pitching. And also they're going to be going up against the Yankees. They're going to be going up against the Rays, the Red Sox. I understand they lost Mookie Betts. I understand they lost David Price, but they still have Andrew Benintendi. They still have Rafael Devers. They still have Xander Bogaerts. They still have Jackie Bradley Jr., who may not be the best hitter, but defensively is one of the best outfielders in the game. So they're a threat. I think that they're going to beat up on the Orioles. I think they're going to beat up on the Marlins. But then the other teams in their regions are and the Cubs just won. But the Mets that are having I think are going to have a great year. The Braves that are starting off slowly but are going to, I think, get in rhythm as the season goes on. The Nationals, obviously, once Juan Soto comes back. But even now with, they still have some bats in the lineup. I think it's going to be a rough road for the Blue Jays. but I don't think it's undoable. It's impossible for them. But I would completely forgot to talk about a team that I thought would be a real threat to the Dodgers, and that's the Reds. The Reds have a very loaded team this year, and I think that they can pose a little bit of a threat to the Dodgers because I think people are overlooking them given their record last year. But I thought they made a lot of interesting offseason moves, and I think the Reds are coming in looking much better than people I think are giving them credit for. But I think that's kind of it. And then obviously in the East, I personally think that the World Series is going to be a National League East team versus an American League East team. Honestly, gun to my head, maybe I'm a biased New Yorker, but I would think that's going to be a 20-year anniversary of the Subway Series. I just think top to bottom, the Mets have the best looking roster in the National League when you factor in their bullpen, their starting pitching, and their hitters. Because David Price opted out of the season for the Dodgers. That's a big hit to them. So there's a lot of pressure on, Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw. Then after those two, their starting five kind of falls off a bit. And then the Yankees, obviously, man, as good as I think the Twins are, I still have faith in the Yankees that have been the Twins killer pretty much 25 years, going back to when they had Kirby Puckett on the team. So it's going to be an interesting season for sure. And I understand why people have the Dodgers and Yankees as the favorites, but I don't think it's completely, forget about the season and let's just go to October already. I think it's going to be a wild ride for both clubs.
Right, I like how you make that good point. I also want to talk about the Mets, and I like how you say that they do have one of the cleanest lineups in all of, the majors. I mean, look at the team today. I mean, Yoenis Cespedes, he hasn't played a game since July 20th, 2018. Think of that. Not 2019, but 2018. Think of that. And that was against the Yankees. I remember that his last game. He had a home run, and he was out for the season. And, after getting injured on his ranch, which, is wild boar. And just seeing him come back today, and I said to my dad, I'm like, he's going to hit a home run. He's going to do something special. He's going to come up clutch. And seeing that home run, it was just gorgeous. And it was just seeing that. Getting to hear the Simba, the Lion King theme in the beginning, it just that, it just gave me chills because, that's just a walk-up theme. And so, I like seeing him back in the lineup. And Brandon Nimmo, another surprise player. I thought he had 2 hits, and he was playing pretty good. So I'm glad I was able to see what he was doing. I hope he can, be that leadoff energy that the Mets need. Because remember last year he struggled in the beginning of the year, and then he was injured with a herniated disc. He had some neck injury. I know it was something like that, and he did better in the stretch in September. But if he can bring that that energy that the Mets need, then yeah, the Mets lineup could definitely go far.
Yeah, and that's when you were talking about Cespedes, the universal DH is going to help the Mets out a lot because Cespedes, now they take him out of the outfield, take him off his feet a bit, and that severely lowers his risk of injury. So I'm not sure there's many teams that are going to benefit more from the universal DH than the New York Mets. Obviously, teams with the Dodgers that have a lot of utility guys, or teams like the Rockies that have a lot of utility guys, a lot of bats that they can go to, they're going to be helped a lot. But the Mets, when your best offense, or with Pete Alonso, your second best offensive hitter is, that the only downside to them is the risk of injury, and that's taken away or at least mitigated. That really makes a dangerous team. Also, they have Jeff McNeil. Michael Conforto had a good year last year. Don't forget about Robinson Cano, J.D. Davis. They got a really nice team. And we were just talking about the Mets. The name Jacob deGrom didn't even come up yet. So I understand that they may not have Marcus Stroman. I understand Noah Syndergaard is down. But, let's see what Steven Matz can do. And don't forget about that bullpen. Edwin Diaz, if he can get into rhythm.
I thought Diaz was great today. Oh, I'm not going to lie.
He did great. He did great. Seth Lugo did great. Seth Lugo did great. They picked up Dellin Betances in the offseason. And then again, let's look at their competition, man. The Braves are going to be without Cole Hamels for a while. Cole Hamels, he may not even play at all this season. So when one of your best pitchers is done for the whole year, I mean, or a majority of the year, and they're veteran, it's going to take them time to get back. It's going to be a big blow to them. And then, Mike Soroka is your best pitcher, and he did good against the Mets today, but I mean, he still got the loss. And every loss, man, like we were saying earlier, every game is almost worth 3 when you do the math. So they're already down 3 games below below the Mets, and it's going to be tough for them to claw their way back.
Exactly, yeah. And like you said, the Mets on paper they look great. It needs to show off. It needs to perform. I was worried about them the first 2 games. I'm not gonna lie. I know you were watching them D-Train with the Yankee games, and I'm not gonna lie. Their hitting was atrocious. They were 11 for 65. So I was a little bit scared. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they were hitting today. They're actually hitting not bad. I just wish they produced a little more runs, because you're not gonna win every game scoring 1 run. You know what I mean? The pitching looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. If the pitching keeps up, it was great. I mean, I don't know why. I just had so much confidence in the bullpen. I mean, it's like I said, Seth Lugo, he pitched 2 good innings. DeGrom, he didn't even pitch to his full limit, and he still managed to get the 5 innings under 80 pitches,
and no runs.
No runs. Yeah, he only had 1 hit and 8 strikeouts, so he was looking great. I always loved Jacob DeGrom, and I just I was confident in the bullpen. I was scared when Edwin Diaz came in, and they said that Rojas, he's not gonna like did what Mickey Callaway did last year with with Edwin Diaz. He's not going to hold on to him thinking that he's going to, produce and change. Like, if he's bad and he's going to pull the plug. If he's, risking the game, he's not going to do that. You know what I mean? He's not going to hold on to that. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I hope the Mets can produce. It's only opening day. I'm glad we got the W, and I can't wait. And it's just exciting. I'm excited to see what the Yankees are going to do. I wish I can go to a game, but under unfortunate circumstances, it's not going to happen. But I'm just happy that there's baseball. I'm sure a lot of people can agree. I'd rather have baseball with than not being able to go to a game. I can sacrifice that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just got to ask you, D-Train, you good?
I'm sorry. No, I was looking at something. No, I saw on they have the Twins and White Sox game on ESPN right now. And I saw the Twins players are wearing RC, and I was thinking, I was like, I didn't know Rod Carew died, and it turns out he didn't. I don't know who RC is, but they're honoring him tonight on their jerseys.
Right. Yeah.
But that's what I was looking at. If that's what you're asking about, and if not, well, now you know.
Well, the Mets, before the pregame, they were doing honorary tributes to John Lewis, the congressman who was a big civil rights activist, and back in the day, he passed away unfortunately at the age of 80. They pay tribute to COVID-19 victims. They honored doctors and nurses, and especially, like I said, the photographer. And they showed a video of all the players coming together for the Black Lives Matter. And they all came together for the national anthem, and they held on to a black rope. It wasn't like a rope, but it was something long, and that
it was like a tapestry.
Right, yeah, and it just it shows how the unity that the players come together in a time of need, especially it's just in a time when the country needs healing.
I believe the Yankees also kneeled, and as well as the Nationals kneeled, I believe too. So.
I know Mookie Betts, he kneeled. A lot of other players, and just some great baseball. I'm not gonna lie, and it's good to see. They have the Black Lives Matter, and the something else. They had those patches on their sleeves. You saw that, right, Josh?
No, I didn't get to see it. No, but I know what you're talking about. Though I seen it in the article, but I didn't physically see it live.
Right. Yeah.
This is interesting.
What?
Marlins are beating the Phillies right now, 5-2, bottom of the 8th.
Yeah.
Interesting. Marlins. The Don Mattingly and the Marlins were saying, we're a lot better than people are giving us credit for. I think some people should take heed to that warning, guys. They're beating a team that might be a almost like a World Series favorite with Didi Gregorius being added to the team. Obviously, Bryce Harper, the $300 million man.
And you got JT Realmuto, and you got Joe Girardi as your manager, who's known as, it was known as for the best manager pickup in the offseason.
Correct.
Someone that the Mets missed out, but luckily, luck worked out. So that's interesting to see. The Marlins, I feel like, I don't know, it's hard because last year they were not honestly the best team. And, you know what I mean? And this year it's just different, you know what I mean? So it's a lot can happen and a lot can shock you. So it's a lot can happen in 60 games.
Yeah. Like I said, it's anybody's game, man.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all about who maintains the game. Like, if you start off fast and you continue fast, you're good. If you start off slow but you can pick it up, it's all about being consistent, especially with 60 games. So it'll be interesting to see. So
it is good.
It's just nice.
I feel like it's great. It's great to have baseball back. I think we all can agree. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
I know. I feel like we covered enough of. Actually, no. I feel like there's more baseball to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of baseball. I mean, there's a lot of games. Let's talk about the rest of the games today. Especially, let's talk about the Cubs game right now.
Yeah. So the Cubs just won.
Yeah, Kyle Hendricks pitched
Great game.
Great game, shutout, complete game on opening day. As they won 3-0. It's good to see David Ross as the manager.
Yeah.
As he got his first W as a manager. And as you can see, Shane Bieber, apparently he had 14 strikeouts. Or no, that was right.
I didn't see that, but I also don't doubt it. He's a good player. And going into the year, going into the year, everybody thought that he was gonna have a breakout year because last year was his breakout year, so people had high expectations for him. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that he had a monster game.
And, I just got breaking news. Right now. This isn't related to. We're gonna talk about this later, but I just got breaking news that Chiefs guard Laurent Dunvaneri Tarif, he's the guard. He opted out of his contract and he's going to continue to work at a long-term care facility in Canada. So we'll talk about that later. We're going to talk about football later, but we'll continue. I just had to bring that up.
No, that's all I have to say about him in particular. But the Reds in general, it looked like they had a pretty good game against the Tigers. I'm watching the highlights right now on ESPN. And Reds played Tigers, obviously.
Joey Votto hit a solo home run today.
Yeah, since 2015 when the Astros went into the American League. Every opening day now, it's at least one interleague game, and I guess this is it: Tigers and Reds.
You see Mike Moustakas.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That's one of their big pickups was Mike Moustakas to the Reds. And obviously they still have Joey Votto, but hey man, they're looking good, dude. They're looking real good. And obviously they won 7-1, getting 9 hits. Good Lord.
I know, right? Crazy. You see that the D-backs and the Padres still going up. You got Madison Bumgarner pitching for the Diamondbacks, as you can see. And
that's going to take some time to get used to seeing.
I know, right? And you can see the Cardinals right now winning 2-0 against the
Pirates.
Yeah, against the Pirates. As you can see, the Baltimore Orioles right now playing up against Boston.
Yeah.
Can't believe Fenway. And so, yeah, I think that covers enough on baseball.
The only thing I wanted to say about baseball, which surprisingly isn't about opening day, or isn't about any players currently in the league, but is about a player that was only in the league a few years ago from my New York Yankees. And that is Alex Rodriguez has made some very interesting comments in the media lately as him and his wife-to-be, Jennifer Lopez, yes, that Jennifer Lopez, the singer and actress,
J-Lo,
are trying to make a bid to buy the New York Mets. Obviously, the Wilmons have been trying to sell the New York Mets. every single New York Mets fan is in their glory as they've tried to sell the New York Mets. And A-Rod and J-Lo and their ownership group have been kind of front runners along with, I believe his name is Stephen Cohen.
Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen, yeah. Steve Cohen. He's
Yeah,
been a long
as
time bidder.
those two have been trying to get the New York Mets. And A-Rod has made some comments that have led some to believe that maybe he wants a salary cap in the Major League Baseball. He has said that he doesn't want a salary cap in Major League Baseball, and that's not what he was getting at. But he was kind of saying things a little differently. So he had a very interesting message that many people have criticized. But the big debate has been, fellas, do you think there should be a salary cap and salary floor in baseball?
I feel like it would be too late
Personally.
for a salary cap. I mean, you see the contracts these players are getting. I mean, I feel like it's already too like what's going to happen to the contracts now? I feel like it's too late.
It's going
Right.
Listen, baseball already have enough problems, and I feel like this only makes things worse. So I just say leave it the way it is because there's too many people that have big contracts. And the moment that a player wants a big contract, and if they put a cap on there, it's going to be issues. So it just wouldn't make sense because then you'll have so many of these players that have these freaking ridiculous amount of money. You put a cap on that, then you're talking about a lot of teams having to cut players. So I just feel like it doesn't really make sense for them to put like a cap on it. Like just leave it the way it is. Don't change anything. Leave it how it is.
So I found the exact quote, and now this is from ESPN, according to ESPN. A-Rod obviously being an ESPN analyst, as we spoke about earlier, as he was doing color commentary with Matt Vasgersian. And I quote, "The only way it's going to happen is if they get to the table," and this is in regards to Major League Baseball becoming America's pastime again. The only way it's going to happen is if they get to the table and say, the number one goal, let's get from 10 to $15 billion, and then we'll split the economics evenly. He said Thursday during a conference call. But that's the type of conversation, instead of fighting against each other, because there's too much competition out there right now. And then he said, when asked about it, yesterday when I was asked about the CBA expiring in 2021, I answered honestly, but I never mentioned the word salary cap. I suggested on the call that both sides, players and owners, work together to make baseball as big as the NFL and the NBA. I've been in contact with Tony Clark, executive director of the MLBPA, to make sure we're aligned in taking our sport to the next level and showcasing the world's best athletes. Now, if you guys don't think that salary caps and wages are the main issue with the decline in Major League Baseball, what do you guys think is? Personally, I think it's just the style of baseball isn't as exciting as it used to be. There's not as many base stealing and you know what I'm saying, base stealing, and everything's, launch angles and this, that, and the other. I feel like the excitement of the game isn't what it used to be. You're never going to see a Lou Brock again. You're never going to see a Ricky Henderson again. You're never going to see an Ichiro again. You're never going to see Sean Figgins again.
Yeah, Jeter,
even Jacoby Ellsbury.
Dwyer,
Yeah, those guys that can just steal bases or five-tool players just because the risk reward isn't what people think it should be. I just think it's very interesting that people talk about, marketing, which is a big problem, don't get me wrong, or salary caps or how much they get paid, instead of addressing the real issue, which is the sport that has become so dominated by advanced analytics since 2002 with the Oakland Athletics and Billy Beane and obviously Moneyball and all that. It's starting to, that kind of mindset is only good when only one team is doing it. But when everybody's doing it, you kind of isolate parts of the game. And I just think that's what's hurting baseball more than contracts or more than even the marketing of players. I think it's that, it's just not exciting as much as it used to be.
When you think about earlier baseball, you're thinking about the steroids baseball when they were smacking balls left and right. When they obviously that's not fair because you're cheating. But that's what the excitement was. It was all these guys. I mean, Barry Bonds. Think about Barry Bonds hitting home runs after home runs after home run. That's what the excitement was. It was you're getting home runs. Now you're getting less home runs. So it's like kind of not like, and like you go to one thing, every time you go to the baseball game, what is your one wish when you go to a baseball game?
See a home run.
See a home run. And guess what? Catching a ball. That is everyone's wish when they go to a baseball game. But guess what? Those guys compared to these guys that are playing is completely different. And I'm going to go on and go even further to say the real reason why people are not looking at baseball the way that they're looking at the NBA or football, because the two sides don't agree. The players don't agree. Then you got the management of baseball that don't agree. So you don't even know half of the time if there's going to be a season because they're colliding so much. So the business side of baseball is just unorganized because you have two different people that want two different things and they're not even trying to make a compromise with each other. So you have this power struggle of who's going to win, and you're not going to win. You both have to equally come up with something that you both can work for. So I feel like that's really one of the reasons, because when you go on Twitter, you go on Instagram or whatever, all you see is the players complaining. And then you'll see people commenting like, oh, just shut up, stop complaining, play baseball, So it's just like when I look at it, yeah, I can see what you're saying about it not being the money. And that's true. It's not really the money. It's more just how they like talk to each other. It's kind of hard for you to want to watch a game when and this is information that we as a public shouldn't know. We shouldn't know that the like owners and players and stuff are like clashing, like banging heads, like at war with each other because of issues that they just can't seem to figure out on their own. So I feel like that's really where you lose, the amusement of baseball. It's too much business tied into it instead of actually playing the game.
I feel like you made a very good point, Josh. I just want to say that very great, very, great just presentation you just made right there. I feel like you said, I mean, you go to the games, a lot of the excitement is to go see that home run. I feel like a lot of people lost that energy and spirit for the game of baseball over the years. And frankly, yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, I just feel like when I talk to people about why they don't like baseball, I feel like some people tell me that they just think it's boring. And I say I just why? And I say why, you know what I mean? And they just think it's just not as exciting as maybe basketball or maybe football. But honestly, you look at it, I just feel like, that excitement needs to come back. And I just feel like people need to look back and see what made them be a fan. And like I said, a lot of people just try to struggle. A lot of leagues try to struggle for power and who's the best, and especially with their favorite pastime. And it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, I like baseball, so I can watch. I'm fine with that. But I do understand it's a turnoff for people that don't understand, because you gotta understand baseball has a lot of terminology. So if you didn't grow up watching baseball or you didn't play baseball, it's confusing. And a lot of people will say it's not fun to watch on TV because, it's a lot of commercials. People hate commercials. Baseball has a lot of commercials because they're switching innings, so it's just a lot into it. Baseball, it's long. I would say it's kind of longer sometimes because you don't really have a time limit on baseball like you do. NBA has a time limit. NFL has a time limit. Literally, if the score is 0-0, you keep going until somebody scores. So there's really not a time limit when you think about baseball. So it's kind of all right, let's see who's going to score first, So I can see why people turn off against baseball because it's harder to score than it is in basketball or football. So a lot of people don't really understand, the terminology as well. You listening to a game and you're just like, they're speaking a whole different language in baseball than any other sport. So I feel like in order for you to like the game, you have to understand it. You have to respect their rules. You got to respect their terminology. And that's just one thing people don't understand as well.
Mhm. That's interesting because I feel like football, the amount of commercials in football, like the amount of stoppage time in football is ridiculous to me. The ball is only in play for what, 25 minutes? And it's programmed for 3.5 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
but
So like,
you gotta think
you know,
about.
I'm wearing a Broncos jersey. Shout out to Shannon Sharp. But you know, in terms of like sports, I'm more into basketball and baseball than football
Right.
typically. And I just think it's interesting when people say like, "Oh yeah, I really like football, but I don't watch baseball because it's boring." But I'm like, in between plays, there's like a good 20, 25 seconds. Literally nothing is going on. And then they cut to a commercial break for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but
And then they'll do a kickoff, and then they'll cut to another 5-minute commercial break.
Well, I just want to bring up that, like,
All that little stuff adds up to me, but
Yeah.
continue.
but like they're also big. No, hold on, I just want to bring up one thing. I mean, they're also big with advertisement because, like you said, the ball is stopped. I mean, the ball is in play for only like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And so, like with soccer, you don't really see soccer played out as much in the United States because it is not, it's not advertised as much. People look for the money in the, in the business. You know what I mean? And Josh, what are you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, like he's right, though. There's a lot of commercials in football. But I feel like when you really think about the amount of action within those plays, you're going to see somebody get hit. You're going to see somebody get juked. You're going to see a lot within a second, at least a second. You're going to see so much that it makes up for it. And I feel like in baseball, you don't see that. And that's what the difference is because even in basketball, basketball, you're going to see some type of action. In baseball, you don't always see that, because like even when you think about it, somebody hit a single, it's just like, hey, somebody hits a double, you're like, oh, triple, oh my God, home run, whoa. Even a strikeout is huge, but you don't always get that. Most of the time, somebody gets hit, or I'm not going to say somebody gets hit, but most of the time, the ball gets hit in the play and it's an out. And it's like, that's not really exciting unless it's a tied game and you're on edge. I feel like the only time baseball gets really, really exciting is when you're in that last stretch of the game. You're in that ninth inning and you are the home team and you get those 3 outs and dude, this is our last chance to win. I feel like that right there is the most exciting. That's like overtime in football. I will compare that. Yes. Me, Joshua Gable, just compared overtime football to the ninth inning stretch, a tied game in baseball. Yes, I did, because I feel like that is huge. So, and I'm a football guy. So I just feel like that's just way more like, oh my God, who's going to hit it? Who's going to get it? Like, yeah. So I feel like baseball in that phase is better than football in that phase. I'm just going to say, I'm just going to throw that out there. That's my opinion. So.
Yeah, dude, I think that's why playoff baseball is the best, man.
Oh,
Out of
yeah.
all the playoffs, I got to be honest, playoff hockey is great, but
Yeah.
playoff baseball, man, it's something. Playoff baseball is something totally different. I just flipped to MLB Network to watch the Mariners and Astros. Mariners are up 2-1, bottom of the fourth. Go Mariners! But, yeah, no. Oh, that was a nice little throw though. But Michael Brantley got a single, infield single. Gnarly play, man. But yeah, no, I think like playoff baseball, man. I think that's what you're talking about. Like playoff baseball. Baseball's a slow game. Yeah, I get it. But every second, every pitch, every at bat, it all matters, and it is just, man, it is must-watch television.
Yeah.
It is must-watch television. Like when I watch baseball games, I flip between that or like another show that's on or whatever. And like Survivor is my favorite show, but like when it comes to the playoffs, man, I missed the whole episode just because I'm glued to the TV and I don't even skip the commercials. I'm just so glued to it. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. I just think baseball is very interesting. It's a very interesting thing, the rise and fall of baseball to look at from just almost like a historical perspective I'm a big history buff, and seeing, how baseball was the undisputed king of American sports and is now pretty much on its deathbed. It's very, very interesting to see. Obviously, hockey, isn't big here, but you cross the border and they don't give a damn about, you know, Tom Brady. For them, it's all Cindy Crosby and Alex Ovechkin,
I
So
guess. Yeah,
I get that's a regional thing, but
I noticed that coming to New York, because I'm from Texas, so football is everything in Texas. And I noticed, like, when I got here, it was a lot of like, hockey. Like, I see people with, like, Islanders jerseys, and I'm just like,
yeah,
hockey's really a thing. Like,
yeah,
I didn't
oh
know.
yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's a very regional sport.
Islanders,
I
Rangers,
know
yeah.
nothing about hockey at all. I know
Those are
zero
Dallas
about
Stars.
and
Go
like
Devils,
just
man. Be Devils fan.
yeah, like so just seeing people like, like, and I hear a lot of people talking about hockey, and I'm just like I remember one time I got on the train and I see all these people with hockey jerseys on, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, and I'm looking, and there's like, so I hear people just talking about it. I'm like, wow, I didn't know hockey was like really that big, honestly. But yes, well, I mean, I would like to get into it. I'm a sports guy, so
Yeah, without a doubt, hockey is just it's very big here. Just like basketball would be. Honestly, like New York, I feel like it's like a melting pot of like sports. Just thinking of it now. And actually, another point I want to bring up before the last thing I want to talk about with baseball is what do you guys think of the expansion of the playoff format? 16 teams.
I like that.
I like it a lot.
It's more exciting, man. It just gives you more excitement. Like, so I feel like that's honestly, I feel like I think they should keep that even after this pandemic goes on. I think they should keep that because it just brings another level of excitement, and it gives other teams that have that potential a chance to actually show like if they can do it. So I just feel like, and I feel like all sports really should increase the amount of people they let into the playoffs because there's some teams that can go, and just because like you might have a team that's loaded, like you have like a division that's loaded with teams, kind of like that team is good enough to go as well, but when you're so loaded like that, it makes it harder for you. So I think expanding the how many teams can go, I feel like that's I think that's good. It's dope. I want to see that. Yeah. So I can't wait to see that.
Buddy, why don't you can you break down the new playoff format for our viewers?
I don't have any information at the moment, but I do know that.
I thought you had it up. My bad. Nah, I was time stamping what we had.
But I know that it's formatted as 16 teams. I don't think that I didn't really know that much today as of now, but I'm gonna get more updated on it. What do you have on it right now?
So I was able to take a picture of this earlier when I was watching MLB Central. So the new format is playoffs are expanded to 16 teams. All second-place teams in all six divisions will make the playoffs. Seventh and eighth teams will be remaining teams with best records, so like the wild card. First round will be four 3-game series and played at the higher seeds home stadium the entire round, the whole 3 games. Rest of rounds will be normal length, 5-game series in LDS, League Division Series, 7-game series in League Championship Series and World Series. So this is very interesting because last week we were talking a lot about, who we thought were going to make the playoffs and whatnot. And now I totally forgot that those rules were implemented for this season. I thought it was going to be next season they started, but I guess at COVID that they moved it forward. So now I was thinking earlier, what teams, and I want to ask you guys, what teams do you think are going to make the playoffs? And maybe we'll all agree, but I guess I'll go first. I think the Yankees and the Rays got the AL East. I think in the AL Central, I'm thinking Twins and White Sox. And the AL West, I'm thinking, if everybody's healthy, Astros and Angels. Wild card teams being the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Oakland Athletics, or I guess Buffalo Blue Jays right now, LMAO. And then in the National League, I got in the National League East, the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies. The
Phillies.
Central, I think it's going to be the Cincinnati Reds and Chicago Cubs. And then in the West, I think it's going to be the Dodgers and I guess the Diamondbacks. The other teams are pretty bad. And then I think that the Braves and probably the Brewers are going to be the two wild card teams out of the National League. Brewers or Cardinals, flip a coin, and I think that's whatever one it's going to be. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think it's going to be interesting with this new format. I cannot wait for October to see what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, the East definitely the Yankees. Like I said, I don't want to sleep on the Blue Jays, so I think the Blue Jays will make it. For the Central, definitely the Twins and the White Sox. In the West, Astros and I guess the Angels. In the National, I would say the Mets, and I could say the Braves too. Yeah, the Braves, they're a pretty stacked team. The Central, definitely the Cubs and the Reds. And then in the West, yeah, like you said, the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. I mean, yeah, because everybody else isn't really all that good. So, yeah. What are you eating?
Got myself my Cracker Jacks.
It's opening day baseball. You can never go wrong with the little peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
The one team
But he
that
doesn't know if you'll ever look back.
I think I kind of agree with a lot of you guys with your teams. I feel like the one team I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on are the Nationals. So I feel like it's going to be the Mets and the Nationals for that. I'd like to see the Astros look good. The Cubs looked pretty good today.
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of the Reds looking good. I like Mike Moustakas. He's looking really good. I'm not going to lie. I'm at the plate. I'm going to have more of these Cracker Jacks. And so I'm just excited to see this new format. And when it comes to playoff time, it is the best time. I don't know who could agree with me on that. Who's Cracker Jacks right now? I'm fired.
Not a paid sponsorship.
I feel like we covered a lot on baseball.
I think we covered everything on baseball.
Now let's talk about hockey for 1 second. So, Seattle is now 32nd franchise in the new NHL league. They are going to be called the Seattle Kraken, as you are well aware. Now, what do y'all think of that?
That's a gnarly name, man. I like it.
That name, man. That is cool.
It is.
I'll give them points for the creativity.
Every time they come out from like when they first started, they have to say release the Kraken. Like they have to have that audio on there, man.
Yeah.
Every time
I said that before the show.
But yeah. What do they call it? Like, what do they call, like, you got like the dugout for baseball, then you
The bench.
The bench, okay, yeah. So when they come out the bench, they gotta release
well, they have a tunnel. They come out of a tunnel.
Okay.
Like
So
basketball.
Release the Kraken. They gotta have that.
But yeah, so like they have to have that. Then they have to have like a Kraken in the middle of the ice ring. And yeah, man, I could just
the mascot's a squid.
Oh man, that'll be, oh my gosh. They have so much potential. So I hope they don't blow.
Dude, the colors are gonna be sick too, man. I'm definitely seeing a green, maybe like a teal, and maybe Hartford Whaler colors. Josh, I know you're not a big hockey guy. Brandon, I don't know your knowledge on the sport, but there used to be the Hartford Whalers before moved somewhere that I'm forgetting. I think somewhere out west. I think Dallas. But their colors were like a green and like a blue, like a navy blue and white. Really cool looking jerseys. And you'll see some people around in like the New England area the Northeast of the U.S. wearing the Hartford Whaler jerseys, but I could definitely see a similar color scheme to the Hartford Whalers. I think it's cool, man. I think it's cool. I think it's good for
Seattle.
it's good for the sport. Seattle getting a new team. Obviously, they're still heartbroken about the loss of their Seattle Supersonics. I've been okay with a hockey team being called the Seattle Supersonics and going with that green and yellow, kind of similar to the Stars, I guess. But I would have loved to have seen like that old. If you want to talk about awesome sports entrances, you got to watch the 1996 NBA Finals Supersonics entrance. Oh my god, dude, it is so dope. It is so dope. I mean, they got they have Deep Purple playing. It's just sick, dude. It's
And
just
I
off the
love the
hook.
Rockets. Like when they come out, oh my gosh, man.
That place is gonna be nuts. And hockey's big in like the whole north region of the U.S. I feel like everywhere hockey's pretty big. But man, I know the fans in Seattle, man, they're gonna be going off. They're gonna be going off. And I mean, I'm surprised to see the success of hockey in Las Vegas. Definitely, that was bizarre. I didn't think anybody thought that was going to work, but
Hey, I mean, sometimes you got to take risks, and you look what happened. I mean, they went to the freaking Stanley Cup in like just one season of expansion. Like that's crazy.
yeah, dude,
You
that's
would think it would
insane.
be like hockey would be a place like more for like where the weather is like cold. You know, you wouldn't think of like Nevada. It's hot there, man.
You're just like Arizona. It's
Yeah,
like
the Coyotes. That's owned by I think Wayne Gretzky's the owner of that team, isn't he?
the
He owns
Coyotes.
one of the teams. I'm pretty sure he's the owner of the Coyotes.
Well, we'll look that up later. But
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. I'm interested in that.
I feel like that's. I'm glad we were able to cover that. So I feel like it's time that we get to football. There's a lot. My phone is about to be on 20, and I don't know how long we have for the show. I'm also getting really tired. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, well, all right, run and gun offense, fellas. Run and gun offense.
Right. So basically, in the NFL, honestly, it's more of like just the NFL trying to finally take care of business, which they should have already done.
A while
But
ago, yeah.
they were able to finally come up, the NFLPA and the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, finally were able to come up with something. So before we get started with that, though, I do want to release some information that 59 players have tested positive for corona at some point. That number was higher, but the NFLPA put out just the players, which made it to 59. Also, this just popped up not too long ago, but I wanted to wait till we got to football to talk about it. But 12 rookies tested positive for corona for the NFL. As you know, they started their rookie camp like yesterday or so. So when they first started that, they basically had to get tested. They got 2 rounds of testing. If you were clear for the 2 rounds, then you can start practicing and conditioning, whatever they were going to do. But yeah, so far 12 players have tested positive. Don't know who. They didn't release that information. Obviously, it's personal, but they did come out and say that. So, but I want to get back into the kind of like the agreements that the NFLPA and the commissioner of football with. So they had a general agreement on voluntary and high risk opt out. So if players didn't want to play, like you mentioned earlier before, the Chiefs guard, that they have the ability to opt out and it won't affect them in any way. They also have a general agreement on stinpit of games lost. So just in case they lose games, they don't like lose money or anything like that. They get what they're supposed to get. I don't know if it's going to be like regular, like, like they have like bonus pay and they have actual game pay where they get paid on game day. So I don't really know. They didn't really say all that information. So yeah, they came up with that agreement. Also, that some stadiums will have fans. Fans are required. to wear face coverings, and you should be anyway. So I don't understand why that is a thing. And I have a small list. I don't know, the number could have grown by now, but there are teams with the IDER. They were talking about that for a while, how no teams had that. So what IDR stands for is infectious disease emergency response. So as of right now, what I know and what I have down right now, the only teams that have it are the Ravens, the Bills, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Lions, the Packers, the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins. That's all I know for now. So, and they said that players won't have to wear the face shields that we're talking about. They're not required. And a lot of players was giving their input on how they felt about that. So they don't have to worry about that. So what do you guys think about all these different things that they have going on with health relations?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that it's good that they're getting started with this now. I'm glad that they were able to work out an agreement and that football is back, officially, because I was worried that it wasn't going to happen. It's just crazy with everything going on. It's just crazy how people starting to opt out now. Everything in the Chiefs guard, it was pretty big. It's a good guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I wonder how they're going to fill that void, and especially with all that's going on. I'm shocked that some teams are allowing fans in the stadiums. I mean, you got to think of it that the NFL generates tons of revenue, and so the loss of fans at the games is pretty big. Not gonna lie. Now, Governor Murphy of New Jersey, he announced that the Giants and the Jets won't be allowed to have any fans whatsoever until further notice. But that is still a big hit. So honestly, I'm just glad that they're able to find some safety and reasoning for the players, because this is a big issue. And as you can see, that people are still getting tested, and they're still getting positive for the coronavirus. As you can see, there's going to be no preseason games. So it is crazy to see how training camp is going to be, as they are going to start off regular with 80 players, and you just wonder how that's going to come down the line. You wonder how competitive training camp is going to be. It is the right to wear a mask, and you see how players feel disgruntled. I mean, J.J. Watt has been very vocal. He said, if I have to wear the mask, I'm not going to wear it. But in a time of need, with how do I say it? With the pandemic going on, I think that I would wear a mask. I don't know, but it's hard as an athlete. You're running and all that. It's hard to breathe. So it's I don't know. And some people, if they don't want to wear the mask, on the face shield, they could just opt out. Yeah. And I'm glad that players have that right to opt out if they don't feel like they are comfortable wearing the face shields. And at this given moment, and with what's going on, I just hope that they could find an alternative to stop the spread, even if teams are not required to wear the mask.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was really nervous for a while that the NFL had nothing in place, for a ICE in case of emergency issue with starting the season and whatnot. That the Yankees baseball had to deal with, but I'm glad that they have something out there. And it seems pretty good. I know a lot of players, most vocally Russell Wilson, were very skeptical about the start of the season. You got to think there's, 55, correct me if I'm wrong, 55 guys on each team. So, you got to think of how many of those guys have families, how many of those guys have young kids. This guy's son might have a respiratory issue. That guy's daughter might have a respiratory issue, wife, parents, whatever it may be. So I feel like the risk for football players was very high, and I thought that I was a little shocked that they kind of dragged their, they dragged their time with getting a plan in place. But I'm glad, something's better than nothing, and I want to see it all work out, and I want to see J.J. Watt and some guys that are a little, on the fence, or even like Watt against playing with a face shield or a face mask. Hopefully those guys can kind of find a compromise or whatever, because I really just want to see everything get back to normal with sports. And Pujols just struck out with the bases loaded to end the inning. That's
I
I
also
was
want
going,
to
oof.
I also want to bring up one more thing that even though sure, like it is your right not to wear the mask, but it's also the organization and the team's right to, not to protect the players and their families, like you said. Some people have different situations, so it is also the team's right to not want to have you on the team and just sit out for the season if you don't want to wear the mask because people are concerned for other people's safety. And I'm just glad that the NFL was able to respond to the players when the players demanded that the NFL take action for the safety of their players, especially because Russell Wilson, God bless him, and his wife Sierra, because they had a baby today. God bless him, baby boy. And so I want to congratulate them. But yeah,
I think his son's name is Win. I think they named him.
they named him Win.
It's
So
an awesome
I
name.
feel like a good nickname would be W. Like, yo, W. Or Dub.
WW. 2W.
But so I'm just glad that the NFL was able to compromise with the players and their safety because safety is important, especially in this time. We're going through a pandemic. So, like I said, I'm always an advocate for wearing the mask. And so like I said, I'm glad players' safety was reached today. And so, yeah, I'll keep going.
Oh no, I was gonna say got a couple of more interesting things for the NFL, and then we can move on to basketball. But so they also are doing something different for because of like the revenue shortfall due to the pandemic. So they came up with like a little financial plan. I think it lasts for 4 years, beginning next year. So the cap for 2020 will be 198.2 million. Million remains unchanged, so it won't change. And then for 2021, it will be $175 million. So that's just interesting because a lot of teams are actually going to be, over cap, I would say. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Even the Texans will be over cap. So it's just interesting to see how that's going to work out. And then as well, teams only have till August 16th to get their roster sizes down to 80, which will be interesting to see as well. And then I believe they said that on the practice squad now, there will be 16. They moved the number up to 16 players on the practice squad, and 4 players can be protected from other teams trying to get them. So the team can only protect 4 players that they choose that other teams can't mess with. So that was kind of interesting. What else? Also wanted to talk, we were talking about Russell Wilson. So I figured this would be a perfect place to bring up Seahawks wanting Josh Gordon back after the NFL is no longer will be doing drug screening. So I just found that interesting because we all know that, Josh Gordon has had issues with passing drug tests. And I mean, many, many times he's been given so many times and, it's always something. So, but he's, we can't disagree that he's not a great player. So what do you guys think about that?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. 100% with Josh Gordon. He's been fighting a lot throughout his life, especially with, his drug addiction. I think he was playing good with Seattle. Seemed like a good fit. So you would like to see them come back. And especially with Seattle's a great organization. Pete Carroll's a great coach. Especially you got Russell Wilson, who is phenomenal as a quarterback. God bless him. And so I think that would be a good fit to see Josh Gordon. Would like to see Tony Brown come back, but I don't think that's going to come because he just announced that he's done with professional football. We will see. But I would like to see Josh Gordon come back. And, this will be a great opportunity to redeem himself again.
And the last thing on football, we kind of brought this. I think this was like 2 weeks ago. We brought up what now is the retired Washington Redskins.
Yes. That
Kind of.
was huge, huge.
So this is kind of their new name,
Yeah,
the Washington Football Team.
that's it.
That's what they are
That's it.
calling themselves now, and they've already stripped the Redskins. They changed the color scheme a little bit. It's the Washington Football Team, guys.
I'm not glad. It's like you go on the street and like you're talking with someone like, "Oh, who's your favorite football team?" "Oh, the Washington Football Team." "What's their name?" And they're like, "The Washington Football Team." Like, you know what I mean? But I'm not. I mean, I like how it sounds, but it's like it's really hard. It's just you really. It's like I don't know how to describe it because I guess it was. I never thought it'd really be that hard to change the team's name.
Well, when you have one wacko that decides he wants to, copyright every possible name that they thought of having, I mean, you don't really have a choice but to try to find something. So
yeah, that dude needs a vibe check. No, but
No, yeah.
it's very European to me. I feel like all the soccer team names are the city. Obviously, they have like their own little nicknames, but everybody always thinks of just like the city. So I'm surprised that they didn't just straight up go with Washington Football Club. I've seen people say DC Football Club, but like Washington Football Club just sounds so much better. Let's just call it a day. Let's move on.
It kind of sounds little leaguey to me.
I know, but it's like, what else are we gonna name it?
Washington Football Team, like it sounds really like Pee Wee League. The
Yeah,
Washington
I know.
Football Team, like even the Washington Football Club sounds better, because when you go back into history, actually they were clubs. You had like the Negro League, that's a club, and then you had the American League, which were for white people and stuff like that. So I mean, even so, you can definitely say club because that's how football originated. Even baseball was a
clubhouse
before it started. So I actually would have liked club better because that is literally like how it all began. So that actually would have been way better than the Washington Football Team.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's that on football.
Actually, I just do want to bring up one more thing. Kenny Stills. We all can't forget about Kenny Stills, who he's done a lot for the community. He was recently arrested for being part of the Breonna Taylor protest. Those charges were later dropped. So I just want to brought that up. And so yeah, I thought I'd bring that up.
Actually, there is something else that's tied to that. I'm glad you said that. Actually, the NFL is now allowing the players to put patches on themselves as well. So I think it's kind of like even basketball is allowing it. I remember seeing a video. We're going to go into basketball later. So I guess I'll wait for that one. Yeah. But so the NFL is actually letting them get like decals with victims of police brutality. They're allowing them to get like patches and stuff like that on their jerseys or like decals on their helmets to give support to those people that were
victimized.
Like
police brutality is something that should not happen. And I'm all for that. I'm all for ending police brutality because it is wrong in many ways. And I'm glad to see leagues come together.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that all the baseball, basketball, football, it really shows you that we're all connected in a way. Like regardless of what our race is, regardless of what we play, what we do, like we're all connected, as humans. So I'm glad to see that all the different sports. Because you look at one particular sport and you think of a certain, of how they are set up. So it's just nice saying that they all have like some sort of, come together moment, where it's like, the issues in America are way huger than, everything else in the world right now. So I like that. But so that was that for football. So.
Let's move forward to basketball. So what do you guys think of talk to me about the scrimmages that's been going on?
Well, I think the biggest news to come out of basketball today is a lot coming out of Indiana. Last week it was reported that Victor Oladipo would not be playing with the Pacers in the bubble and would not be joining them in the bubble. But that seems to change as he's scrimmaging with them. So that's interesting. Also out of Indiana, all-star power forward center Domantas Sabonis is probably going to be done for this season, which sucks because he's one of my favorite players in the league. A big man who, much like his father, the legendary Hall of Famer Arvydas Sabonis, big man that can pass, shoot, everything you can do. You know, his mobility for a big man is off the charts. His court vision is off the charts. His shooting is outstanding. So this is a team that was trying to, that was borderline, like, could maybe go to the second round or whatever. This is a huge, huge, huge deal. So we'll see what happens. But, man, things are not looking good for the Pacers right now. And then I guess Lou Williams. Lou Williams is the other big one. He I don't know what's going to happen, but he broke the bubble to go to a funeral or memorial service for a family friend. And he was later seen on rapper Jack Harlow's Instagram story at what looked to be a restaurant or a nightclub or a gentleman's club or whatever it may have been. I'm just, based upon the lighting, I'm assuming that it's a nightclub or a gentleman's club in Atlanta. But let's see what happens with that. Some people are saying, if you broke quarantine and you did something stupid, you should kind of be suspended just for the risk of bringing it into the bubble. Other people think that's excessive. I don't really know. I don't think the whole story has been reported yet, and let's see what happens. But it's news. We got to cover it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's blown out of proportion. I'm looking at the Chiron on the Angels and A's game, and it said Zion Williamson is going to be returning to the bubble. I guess he had an injury or something that I just missed. But it looks like he's going to be coming back, and good for him. Good for the Pelicans, and let's see what happens with that. I'm excited.
Also, Patrick Beverly, he left the bubble for emergency personal matters. Don't know what it was for, but I just hope that everything is okay with him. One of my favorite players when he played for the Rockets. I remember I had to, when I was in high school, I was in choir, so I had to sing the national anthem. And I remember just watching them just pregame workouts, watching them. And we were getting ready. We were doing our, sound checks and stuff like that. And we was literally getting ready to sing the national anthem for the Rockets game. And I remember the ball had came by us, and I kind of looked back, and he picked up the ball. And he was like, good luck out there, little bro. And I was like, thank you, you too. And he's like, already, man, we about to get this dub for y'all. And it was the best thing ever. And they ended up winning that game too. Can't remember who they played, but actually, I think I do. Dang it. Can't remember.
I know that's Josh. I feel like every episode we just have some huge unveiling. Josh, the most interesting man in the world. Interesting. You should be the next Dos Equis guy.
I
The most
try.
interesting man in the world. And
Speaking of Rockets, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dennis.
No, continue. I was gonna break balls.
Speaking of Rockets, big news for us. Russ is in the bubble, looking real strong at his workouts. So, got Harden, got Russell.
We got the whole crew back.
All is well. I can breathe.
That is good to hear.
Excited. Real excited. I also wanted to bring up the Hawks. They have their new. I don't know if you guys seen their new jerseys. The Hawks.
Oh, dude, those are
Actually, I'll try.
D-Train seal of approval. The D train seal of approval, definitely.
I'll pull them up for people that haven't seen them. Let's see.
I think you look nice. For those of you at home who can't see it yet.
Let's see if I can get them.
Better than what they had last year. Oh my god. Jeez, that neon green and the diamonds. It looked like the He Got Game Awards from Cartoon Network 10 years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my God, yeah, he got
Yeah.
game.
Oh,
He's taking me
God.
back. Taking me way back.
Were those called the He Got Game Awards or just the Got Game Awards? Because they also had the She Got Game Award. Duh. So I don't know.
But yeah, so these are, I don't know if that is probably a glare, but that's what they look like. I like them. They're pretty nice.
Those are pretty nice.
I like the black one. It reminds me of the old Steve Smith and Dikembe Mutombo jerseys with the hawk on it. The black ones, I like that. It looks cool.
Yeah, so that's just what those look like. Oh yeah, and like I was mentioned before we got to basketball, the NBA is allowing players to wear like messages and stuff. A lot of the players are like actually has a lot of them say Black Lives Matter, a lot of them say enough, a lot of them say equality, freedom, love us, stand up. Then you have some like Taco Fall, he said liberté, which is French for freedom. Yeah, another one liberté. So it's nice to see even in different languages, and they still have the same messages, So it's like I said, we're all connected in a way, So we have to love one another, no matter where you're from, no matter what you believe in. Like the time to love one another is now. So I just feel like that's very important, and I'm proud for every sport out there that is all trying to spread a message. So yeah, that's kind of what I had on basketball. If you guys have anything else you want to add.
I guess there's one thing I want to add. Well, there's two things I want to add. All I got to say is that I'm all for peace, love, and happiness. Those are three things that I preach. Remember, I love everybody, and I want world peace. I feel like that's everyone's goal, and just happiness. We all got to live life in a positive way. We can't live life negative. If we live life in a negative way, life is not going to be easy to get through. And we all just got to live positive. Look at the great things that we have in life, because life is good. Life is precious. You know what I mean? Life is good. And so, yeah. And I also want to bring up, did you guys see that the NBA bubble? No, that barbershop.
It looks like 2K court.
What are we talking about?
You all see the barbershop that they have inside? It's like 2K, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up real quick, because that was pretty dope. It looked just like 2K my court, like honestly.
With even the game,
ridiculous, man. Like that is so cool. Like it's funny because you've seen it in a game, and to see it in person,
Real life.
like
Yeah.
wow.
Like I gotta get to that haircut. And I like my hair. Plus I can't get in there. I wish I can get in there. That Orlando bubble, but I probably can't. It's for players only.
Yeah, like, but it's like so dope, man. Like,
looks dope, yeah. Just trying to keep it, honestly though.
Let me see if I can get it real quick.
But yeah, I just think I was watching, who was it? Oh man, Heat and Jazz maybe the other night I was watching. Heat and Pacers, Heat and somebody, Heat and Kings. Yes, Heat and Kings the other night, and it looked so weird. I'm watching obviously we've been talking throughout the show about watching baseball right now, but oh my god, dude, the Red Sox just clubbed the Orioles 13-2.
Yep,
like that's freaking cool, man.
That looks dope.
So like, yeah, that's cool. And like a lot of players was coming.
I'm sorry, Josh. Can you just show it again? I didn't really.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I couldn't really see it. Okay, that's cool.
but like a lot of players, I think who was it? Crap. Stephen Mitchell, I believe. He actually like put something on because they showed it on Twitter. And so well they call him I think his Twitter name is Spider Mitch or something like that. I don't really remember.
Oh, Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. I don't know where I got that other name from. I'm sure. But so he put out like he's like, wow, this looks just like 2K my 2K my court. And like that kind of just made me think of like, wow, it really does. Like, but like, yeah, man, that bubble, it looks real good. Like honestly. And I don't feel like the rules are too bad, you know. People just make it out to be worse than it is because people don't like being isolated and stuff. But I don't know. Like it's just really interesting to see like how all this plays out because I feel like whoever wins a championship this year, it like I don't even think there should be an asterisk on it. You know, it would just show who wanted it more, honestly, because everybody's basically put in the same situation. So it's like this season shows who really won it for all sports. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how all this plays out at the end.
Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
okay, I think that covered a lot on basketball. Do you guys think?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
pretty much everything for basketball, honestly.
And there'll be more over the next week. And I think that's it. Do you guys think that's it for today?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right. Well, all I gotta say is whoever tuned in, I'd like to say thank you guys for tuning in to the BDJ, the Buddy and D-Train and Josh show. I am Buddy.
I'm T-Train.
And I'm Josh.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.